It's a hard time to plan a wedding when you're like in interview rooms at the FBI.
I wouldn't know. I have no experience with that.
It's time to take A Therapeutic Dose, a prescription-strength reality TV podcast that explores the intersection of reality TV and therapy. Possible side effects may include entertainment, strong emotional reactions, and/or laughter. Here are your hosts, Ramona Ramirez and Margie McGee.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to A Therapeutic Dose, where we meet at the intersection of reality TV and therapy. I am Margie McGee, and with me, as always, is my dear friend and co-host.
Hello, I am Ramona Ramirez. Margie, it's wonderful to see you. And that's an
Always.
understatement.
Same.
Always.
Same.
Always. I was just going to say, like, before we started, I shouldn't be here right now. I should be in wine country on a 10-year anniversary weekend trip with my husband. It was our anniversary on Friday. We've been married for 10 years. Congratulations, us. Yay.
It's huge.
It's major. It's major.
A decade.
A decade. A decade.
And
it's a
like
long
multiple
ass time.
moves and a child and
So many things.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm not away. The plans fell through, and it is very hard for me to not be feeling sorry for myself. It stirred up a lot of historical, what word am I looking for?
like abandonment
Hurts.
stuff.
Hurts,
Uh-huh.
historical hurts, historical comparisons, historical bewilderment, just lots of things other than just the trip not happening. And I don't know if it will again. You know, we're days away from the holidays. If you look at it like that, like every single weekend now is precious commodity leading up to Thanksgiving and Christmas and Hanukkah and Leo's school being out for winter break and all of that stuff. Like, it's just not like something you can just like replan again. And I am in the depths of despair around it. And it has to do with the logistics of it, like falling through, and what I perceive for it to mean. I sat down and I told you I feel like I don't feel like a fraud, but I feel like, I'm in this place where I'm not able to see things. I'm seeing things clearly, but they're from a different lens that I normally have. And so it's just weird to, it's just strange to be in a historical hurt. If that makes sense. If it's hysterical, it's historical. And I hate using the word hysterical because I don't mean it like that. I'm not hysterical because I have deep feelings about this. But that is a slogan that I heard mostly in Al-Anon. You know, if I'm having a really strong reaction to something, we often use to describe the women on this cast of Orange County, you know, especially in the beginning.
I mean, it's the whole
the
genesis
season.
of this podcast is that why am I reacting to Tamra Judge, who I've never met, won't meet, don't care about, does not affect my daily life? It's because it touches something in me that is unresolved and that I still have feelings about.
Yes.
And it informs potential work I have to do or just getting into acceptance about like what is, you know?
Yeah.
Like some things will always bother me. And I don't have to fix that. I don't know. We'll see how life plays out, but I don't believe I was put on this. I get no inclination from the universe that I was put on this planet to be Buddha or the Dalai Lama or someone who just sits in a robe with their legs crossed and is still and fine with everything.
Right.
That doesn't feel like my path.
It just,
I mean, I'm open to whatever. Put me on a mountaintop, God, and like bring me peace. Why not? But sometimes I think the mental health piece can be confused. I can confuse it with being like, if I am mentally healthy, that means I'm fixed. And that's not true. It's like, if I'm mentally healthy, it means I can identify that I'm having feelings and I can move through them without resorting to self-destructive behaviors as a distraction. I can just sit in the ultimate discomfort of disappointment or grief or anger or injustice and just show up anyway, which is what you're doing, which is exemplary. Because you were saying, like, I don't feel like I should be here. I'm not an example of mental health. And like, you absolutely are. You're experiencing feelings and showing up for your life also.
True. I that was really hard for me to say true, but yes, in
The
imperfectly you're
pregnant
right. And
pause.
the mega
True.
pregnant pause. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Look, I can't hear it
She
either when
reluctantly
I'm.
agreed. But
Yeah.
yes, I get it. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Ugh.
That's the best I can do right now, is that it is what it is.
Acceptance, baby.
Ay. Yeah. I want to say welcome to, I think we have some new listeners that found us through Reddit.
Yay.
Thank you so much for joining, and we really hope you enjoy the content that we love creating once a week. And if you're just joining and haven't been with us since the beginning, just a little background on why we started this podcast. Margie and I have been friends for between 25 and 30 years, and we've both been to therapy for the entire time we've been friends and beyond. We met in a 12-step room for eating disorders. We also learned that we were both daughters of alcoholic fathers and shared other 12-step rooms along the way. And Margie has my whole heart, and I have hers, and she is a safe space. And we noticed that when we would discuss Bravo, particularly Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which is starting soon again, and this season looks like it's going to be pretty good. Especially watching Kyle and Kim Richards communicate, given the fact that they came from Big Kathy, who was her own brand of alcoholic, narcissistic parent, and just watching how their roles in their alcoholic family system play out, for me, was fascinating. Watching Kyle react to Kathy Hilton on the reunion stage, like, whew, I just got chills just thinking about that.
It was
chilling.
'cause Kathy really has some power over her. Wow.
Exactly. And so
Kyle.
exactly. One look, one voice, one word, one tone.
It shut me up by proxy. I was like,
too.
okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we found ourselves discussing Bravo shows from the perspective of two women that have been in therapy for 25 years versus just seeing toxic behavior play out that just looked like it was dramatic. And so we decided to take it to to a podcast during the writer's strike last year, and it's effing lovely. If anything else, it means I get to see you once a week, Margaret, and chat.
Yes, and have the
And
conversation.
that is my favorite.
Same that we would have anyway.
Exactly.
And I also want to mention that, like, again, like one of the founding mission statements behind this podcast is that we do not subscribe to the idea that reality TV is garbage. For us, it's been a teaching tool. I have literally been assigned to watch shows by therapists. I found a therapist from watching a TV show when I was in grave depression and despair, stuck on a couch watching a terrible reality TV show, and the couple on it went to this therapist, and it woke me up. I was like, I want to see her. She can help me. I need what she does. And she did. She helped me and transformed my life at that time. And I just had this experience with a woman in a class I was taking, and I was like, do you watch reality TV? And she goes, ugh, I don't watch that stuff. And I was like, don't do that. I'm like, you don't have to watch it, but don't poo-poo it, because let me give you this angle on it. It's a sociology class. It's a human behavior lesson. And yes, it's scripted. And I always say it's scripted until it's not. It's scripted until Teresa and her husband go to jail. It's scripted until Jen Shah gets on a Sprinter van and the FBI is 10 minutes behind. It's scripted, and it doesn't always have to be dramatic like that. It's scripted until both of Karen Huger's parents pass away within a 6-month time frame, and we see her grief in real time. Like, it's a human experience if you can allow for, some dumb moments along the way. So
yeah,
that's how Ramona and I connect on this subject matter. It's not garbage. We do not dismiss one another for, being whatever. There's still such a stigma about reality TV, even though it's so popular and it's the only thing on. People are still like, ugh, that's for stupid people. I'm like, maybe, but
Yeah,
I
then
disagree.
and they don't get it. And also, via con Dios, like maybe they'll find it, maybe they'll find their way, maybe they won't. But yeah, it's nutty when I'm like, do you watch Bravo? And people are like, no. I'm all, oh, like it's such a part of my, what do I want to say? Like my pop culture experience. It's like but it's been a constant,
Yes, it
you know?
has.
I didn't watch any of the MTV ones. Like I didn't watch The Hills or was The Hills MTV or was that
The Hills was
the
MTV, but
CW?
the
Okay.
original, The Real World, and then Road Rules,
Oh, obviously
and
oh yes,
then
I always
Into
forget
the
about The Real
Hills,
World.
and
See?
yeah.
Yeah. You should be a historian. I'm not kidding. I always
mean,
forget
I
about The
loved
Real
it,
World. But yeah,
but
I watched that.
it's so interesting to hear you say that it's a constant because I feel like, talking about being raised in households that were just chaotic, circumstantially chaotic. I wonder if like something to grab onto, people to grab onto who like are are there season after season and don't really
Yeah.
change all that much. However, in this episode it does feel like people are tending to their mental health and it is changing how they behave, and the dynamics in these relationships on Orange County it feels like they're heading toward a tipping point, and I find it like very compelling.
I do too. And again, if someone had told me that I would be a Jen Pedranti stan, I never would have believed them. When she first came on, I was just like, my eyes like sprained. I rolled them so hard at everything from the name of that woman's yoga studio to whatever. I was like, I can't with her. And yet every week she's the one who's saying what I personally need to hear.
I
And that is
yeah.
humbling and incredible at the same time.
I
I
love
applaud
Jen.
her.
I've loved her from the beginning, and I still love her because in this episode and last episode too, she's just all hero energy, but she's about to go home and get engaged to Ryan, who's like like not great, probably a mistake. But to me, that's what I love. It's like being human is not like Heather Dubrow in theory does everything perfectly, and she sucks. And
She sucks,
I'd so
man.
much prefer to be around a Jen Pedranti who's married to someone who I might have concerns about. And I bet she
So
does
many
too.
concerns.
But at a certain
Yes.
point, you take the risk. It's 60-40. That's the stats. It doesn't matter if you're with a crook or a great guy. At a certain
Yeah.
point, it's just like, go ahead. Take the plunge. Why not? I
Are
don't
they
know.
married yet? I can't remember
I
if
don't
they are or
know.
not. I
I
don't
don't know.
know if they are either. I don't remember if they went to Vegas or
I
something
doubt
like
they're
that.
married yet because I feel like they got engaged and it was shortly thereafter that all of this FBI stuff broke publicly, which means it was
Mm-hmm.
going on behind the scenes it's a hard time to plan a wedding when you're like in interview rooms at the FBI.
I wouldn't know. I have no experience with that. I have
Not
no experience.
simultaneously doing both.
No, no, can't comment.
Mhm.
But anyway, welcome. You are not alone. Anytime there's a gathering of two or more people that have a shared experience, a shared history, that's your sweet spot. You know, it can be. It's real sweet here.
It's real sweet
So
here.
very sweet here. You can find us wherever you stream your other favorite podcasts. You can find us on Instagram at A Therapeutic Dose. I'm going to start a Facebook page for us, I believe, possibly a TikTok. I'm not sure. I keep waiting for like, are they going to ban it? Are they not going to ban it? So TikTok TBD, I guess. And ideally YouTube at some point. That is our end game, our end goal. Got my nails done this week, and my nail artist said that she watches her podcasts.
Fascinating. Maybe it's just because
And
I'm in LA that I spend so much time in my car that I need. That's
yeah,
what I use podcasts for, is to like remove me from road rage, give me something else
yeah.
to think about and concentrate on.
It's like having cable in your car
It's so
instead
great.
of, yeah, exactly. I agree. And I listen to I pop headphones in, or I stream a show through my phone on a smart speaker or whatever. And so I can walk around the house, laundry, chores, yada, yada. So I don't think about putting it on in the background like to watch. Anyway, I understand the appeal. I understand the appeal. And there's a lot of people out there that really like to watch their podcasts. So we're working on it. We're working on it. We're working on all of it. Bottom line, we are glad you're here. Welcome. We hope you feel at home and enjoy yourself while you spend your time with us. Thank you so much.
Amen.
So we are discussing Real Housewives of Orange County, Season 18, Episode 15. I forgot to write the name down.
No, Ramona.
Oh, my God. Hold on.
Because I don't know it.
Hold on.
See, now you're having a Margie moment.
I always write this down, and I didn't this time.
I've come to rely on it.
I've come to rely on myself. I've come to rely on myself. Come on now. We're gonna get it. I gotta know. I've gotta know.
I will say this episode, it was like 2 episodes happening once. Oh, sorry, you found it. What is it?
It's called Sunday Roasted.
Oh,
okay.
Clever. Okay.
It
was a Sunday roast. My God.
Man, I love traditional Sunday roast English dinner.
Do
roast.
you?
Oh, I love it.
What is it? Is it always chicken? I couldn't make sense of it based on what they were ordering.
Like roast beef and mashed potatoes and peas. Possibly what's the popover called?
Pot pie? No.
Not a pot pie, the one that they serve it at House of Prime Rib.
I know. They make it on the Great British Bake Off and I can't think of it.
It's the popover and they put the gravy on it and I can't remember. And it's just sometimes it's a little too eggy for me, so I'm not a real fan of it. But you could also have like a pot pie. One of my friends in LA, her parents were British and she was raised with traditional Sunday dinner and she would make it every once in a while. And I always thought it was so cool.
I love that part of it. I love that there's just like a day that everybody knows belongs to family. Like,
yeah,
lots of Italian families do it. Irish families would do it, but it would just be whiskey for dinner.
So we pick back up in Tamra and Heather's room, and Heather is begging Jen to come back so that they can finish the conversation. Jen says Tamra doesn't have a soul. I agree. And Heather says, don't say that. That is what she has umbrage with. I don't understand.
I don't either. Heather and Tamra are really, they need like a writer or a story editor or something because nobody's telling them to rethink the plot here. And they're really pushing hard for this like Shannon takedown, but Shannon and Katie takedown. But the extremes they have to go to make it happen, it's ridiculous. Eventually we get to the point of involving 8-year-old boys that cause Heather to have like an emotional breakdown. I'm like, if children gossiping is what you're relying on, like you need a better story. This is not working. But this is where Jen like starts to really, so at the end of the last episode is when she started to unload on Tamra and say like, Heather, the only reason she's friends with you is because you're in front of her face. And then she comes back here and in a confessional, she says of Heather, she's like, get out of Tamra's ass and be your own person. Like nobody talks that way about Heather. And I love Jen for just being like, I have nothing to lose. I have a great stomach. Fuck off.
Tamra really, in this whole trip, this is Tamra at her worst. Where
she's really bad. Like London has brought out it just stripped any sugar coating away. And it's just this raw demon.
Completely soulless, absolutely devoid of any kind of empathy, devoid of any kind of nothing about her to me is entertaining or I don't know how to explain it. She just, she just like the glee she has on her face while she's engaging in this verbal tete-a-tete with Jen. It's just so vile to me. It's vile. And she just is so pleased with herself to give more of Ryan's backstory, more of Shannon's backstory on camera. She might have the spiciest, hottest chai tea latte of tea to spill. But because she's so obnoxious and repellent, I only like 50% care, but it's also not even 50%, like maybe 10%. Like she said some things. She said some heavy stuff that should have been like, wow, that's pretty gnarly. And I do believe that Shannon is capable of being the kind of asshole that Tamra is saying that she is. I fully get that.
Yeah.
But I also feel like the way that Tamra is bringing it up, I don't care. I'm not interested.
Well, and I think I would venture to say you don't care, and neither do I that much, because it's not true. When something's really true, it hits me in like my gut. And it was interesting in this episode, Tamra would be spinning her tales of like, Shannon breathlessly called me and asked to get information. And then we see the text messages that's like, boy, I hope Jen knows who she's dating. It seems like this guy could be bad. It's like, Tamra, I feel like you've mischaracterized this. And same with Heather. When Heather was reporting to everyone, Shannon is certain without exception that John heard the accident. It's like, no. She reported to you, a friend called her and said, do you think John heard that? He's awfully close by. And that just broke Shannon's heart some more to consider that. She didn't say like, I mean, it's impossible that he didn't hear it. Like the two of them are creating this, like, talk about spin on these situations. Like nobody's great, but the way Tamra and Heather are choosing to deliver this information makes them seem really sinister.
Incredibly sinister. Like
it's dark.
Evil Statler and Waldorf.
Right.
You know?
And it's
not
like Heather said it at one point in this episode. She says like, what is the point? To win? She was talking about someone else's gossip. And I was like, well, you answer that for us, Heather. What is the point? It just seems like you want to take Shannon down. What's the point? To win what? What do you get from that?
Yeah. I agree. I agree. I completely agree. And then they both talk shit about Jen's tummy tuck. And it's just like, it was so much projecting when Tamra said the line about the belly button, because that's what everyone has always said about Tamra. Like, where's her belly button? Yeah. Because Tamra's had tummy tucks, which I don't give a shit who gets a fucking tummy tuck. I don't care about it all. Like, God, I just, but just to talk about it.
Well, it was just unnecessary to call out on camera.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like the two of them planned everything because Heather set her up and Tamra hit the ace. Like, Heather was like, she looks great though, right? And Tamra was like, yeah, her tummy tuck look. Don't talk about other people's surgery. It's just like, oh, you guys, Evil Statler and Waldorf, you said it best.
Totally. But like not funny. Like they don't even they don't even deserve to be called.
No, utterly humorless. I
just couldn't think of another duo that relishes in putting other people down. I
mean, honestly, I'm thinking of all the scenes in this episode where they're in their hotel room together, like getting ready or drinking a glass of champagne. And they just are Statler and Waldorf in the audience, just
God,
hoping for the demise of the characters on stage.
Go ahead. No, you.
I did just want to bring up one thing because I thought this was an interesting moment. People don't talk about like friendship breakups all that often. And I feel like we sort of witnessed Jen coming to the realization that she really thought this was a friendship with Tamra because it started off camera in a gym. And then, but Tamra is so impure that the second she brought Jen on the show, she did so to create storylines for herself and destroy her. And Jen, she says, basically, I now see I'm an idiot for thinking you were my friend. And Tamra just goes, I'm sorry you feel that way. Just super cold and distant. And Jen goes, I don't understand. You don't have a soul. And Heather goes, that's not nice. So Heather can't tolerate the discomfort of a friendship breaking up. And Jen appears to be in like real pain because she screams at Heather. She goes, I don't care if you think it's nice. It's true. And I was like, oh, God. And this is when Tamra says that, we had said we weren't in a good place. And Jen's like, that doesn't give you license to do like a back channel background check on my boyfriend. Like, you're crazy. Like the lengths that you take these agreements to is absurd. It's outrageous. It's terrifying. And Jen warned, she said, just be careful. Your mouth's gotten you in trouble before. Be careful what you say. And it just made me think of Tamra last week coming out on the autism spectrum and then 20 minutes later saying, oh, maybe not, I spoke too soon. It's like you're just a disaster with no guardian on your thoughts and words.
Yeah.
And yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. I agree.
My heart broke for Jen because I believed her. I think she believed in Tamra as a friend, and she kept thinking with each apology, this one she means, this one she means. And again, I'm projecting because I've done this 100 times in my life where I'm like, now they get it. They fucked up a few times, but now they can see that it's a bad look and this is how they're impacting our friendship. But some people just don't give a shit. And that is a sad day when you come to terms with that.
It's so sad. It's such a sad day. And that feeling of just trying to express how you feel about something, and then it's being met with someone who's smirking at you, or I'm sorry you feel that way.
I'm not going to talk to you when you're yelling at me.
Yes, exactly.
It's like, oh, I'm sorry that I had love for you, and so I'm
Right.
having big emotions because I actually invested in you.
Yes, exactly.
And now you're turning that on me like I'm crazy. Okay.
Yes.
I see you.
That was it was egregious. It
Yeah.
was egregious. So we move on to Shannon meeting her girls. They shame her for taking a selfie and say it was cringe, rude.
They're
Really-
college girls.
I know, but
I remember meeting my sister and I went to New York from our various colleges to meet up with my mom for Thanksgiving one year. And I had just the way these girls engaged with their mom. Like we did the same thing. We made fun of her. We tried to shock her with our behavior of like, we're doing it. We're college
Yeah.
kids. And our poor mom was just like, okay, good to see you girls.
totally. The shock stuff was just like the ordering the drinks and the only way to get over a hangover is to keep drinking. Like, no shit.
Yeah. And Shannon's
No
like, are you
shit.
dating any boys? And she's like, I've had my fair share. But
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
It
no,
was
it's
that was cringe. Watching them, it was just
But they're just learning how to like have adult conversations and which ones belong. Because part of what it is, at least for me, was like, I wanted my mom to know what was going on with me. I didn't want to get into details, but I wanted her to understand that I was moving into a new phase of life. And I think at that age, the only skill set I had to do it was to be like, ready for this, shocker? Like,
totally.
I don't even remember how I
Totally.
relayed my drinking and athlete chasing to my mother, but I know it got through somehow.
College.
College.
College. I know. They refer to Tamra as a toxic friendship. I don't know which twin it was. I wish I knew which twin was which, but
Stella's the one whose voice was gone. And I forgot the other girl's name.
So Stella she did the same Shannon choppy hand movements that Shannon does. And I just thought that was so charming. And yeah, they're like, Tamra's always been this bitch. She's always been that girl, Mom. And they're all single. They ask her if they're going to date. They ask Shannon if they're going to date.
It did confuse me that Shannon said no. And then like the very next thing she does is go on this dating show. Didn't that start shooting like immediately after OC wrap?
Oh, maybe.
Who cares? I mean,
Yeah.
this is like uninteresting detective work. But I was like, you don't have to lie to them. You can say that you're open, you know?
Then we go to the Caviar House with Heather, Tamra, and Gina. And Tamra tells Gina that Jen came to see them that morning. Then we pivot to Katie, Emily, and Jen at the Burlington Arms. And Jen is just committed to drinking that Malibu rum and Diet Coke, no matter where she goes. And that's her right. It's totally her right. Go ahead. I don't care for beer. When I go to places that are known for their beer, I will sample whatever the local thing is. I'm not a huge fan of, like, if I was to go to Ireland, I don't know what I will do because I'm not a fan of a dark stout, a Guinness, it's too gnarly. It does not taste good to my mouth. But I would probably, do a little one. But who cares? It's not what anyone called. God. cares?
I'm with you. I appreciate someone who is who they are wherever they are.
Yes.
And that
that's
goes
what
for
I'm trying
Jen.
to say,
And
yeah.
honestly, it goes for Heather too. She's always going to order a annoying brute glass of champagne.
Yeah.
And Jen is Malibu Barbie, and she's going to have her sweet, cloyingly sweet rum, and at least it's Diet Coke in England, because in Orange County, she and Ryan order Malibu and Diet Pepsi, which is just so sad.
God,
It's just like an
it's so
extra
sad.
added layer of like, no, please.
It just reminds me of when I was in college myself.
Yeah.
Malibu rum
It
or
doesn't even.
Midori sours. Like
Yes.
those were my fucking gateways. Like a Malibu and Diet Coke, or oh my
And
God.
all the shots that were like cream based and like, oh my God. Blech.
Ugh, I know. We can relate, Stella and Adeline.
Yeah.
We were there too. Jen fills in Katie and Emily about the text thread and tells them that she went off on Tamra. And Emily says that when Tamra doesn't respect someone, there are no boundaries. And that is clear.
Yes, and
Crystal
proven over
clear.
years.
Years and
And
years.
I do feel like it's getting worse. They in addiction, they talk about how it's a progressive illness. And at the end of this episode, Jen straight out calls it out, and she's like, Tamra has a sickness. And I'm like, it made me think, I'm like, it is getting progressively worse. Tamra is getting progressively worse. It does seem, like a disease that's, whatever. I just keep picturing Eddie packing up that truck and moving to Big Bear.
Moving to Big Bear?
I cannot imagine. After an episode like this, how do you sit with your wife and go like, good job, babe? It's like, she was horrendous in every scene she was in. She basically, when I was taking notes on this, I was like, I need a fucking like murder board with the red yarn connecting people to this, to that, to this. This was said at this time to this person about this that happened 6 months ago or 2 years ago. And I'm just like, what are you fucking talking about? You're so obsessed with destroying people that all you can talk about is like insane gossip items. And at one point she even said she made a call to someone from London to determine for sure that Shannon had contacted a lawyer about Gina, Travis falling stair. I was just like, what are you even fucking talking about anymore? You are consumed. And I couldn't even keep track. And I've watched the show since day one. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. You are
obsessed.
You are through the looking glass, my dear. And like, I don't even know who you are. You're just a bloodthirsty asshole.
Tasmanian devil.
Yeah.
Pint-sized Tasmanian devil, like you said. Just an agent of chaos. An agent of chaos. They pivot back to the caviar house, and Gina tells Tamra, I saw the text thread. If you do that to Jen, why wouldn't you do that to me? And Tamra alludes to no, because Gina isn't a con man like Ryan. So she's basically saying, no, I have my own internal boundaries on who I'm going to light up. I don't believe
Except that
at
later
all.
in the episode, she literally put something on camera that Gina appropriately was mad at Tamra about. Tamra brings to the cameras this thing about Travis being pushed down the stairs. And you could see Gina just go dead inside and be like, so you will do it to anyone.
Exactly.
And it's fully self-serving. They just had this conversation the day before. There's just no intake for anyone else's experience or desires or anything. Same with Heather. I feel like they're both cold and self-serving in the same ways.
Oh my God. I think Heather's self-serving is doing it. Like the more she can keep people, again, this is episode 15, and we're hearing about Disneyland paparazzi pics and Katie peppered throughout the episode, not just like one isolated time. Like it's throughout. She's really upset about this. She is pissed. She lost control. Someone took the ball and ran, and she cannot get it back. And she's obsessed.
You're right.
She's obsessed with Katie.
She is obsessed with Katie. You're right.
Obsessed. So we go back to the Burlington coat factory, the Burlington Arms, and I'm sorry, that was uncalled for. Emily tells Jen that she respects Ryan because she respects people who take care of children. This is so clearly Emily projecting her childhood trauma onto Ryan. Ryan is doing what her mom didn't do, so she respects Ryan. It's flawed logic, but I can see it. And it's just hilarious that as she's saying this, there's a young couple seated at the table behind them with a baby, and the dad's just scrolling through his phone while the mom is tending to the kid. And I was all, there we go.
I missed that. That's
There we go.
fascinating. But I love that they just have a baby in a bar. Oh,
Yeah, in a
England.
pub. Yeah, I know. I mean, I kind of, yeah, you're right.
But why not? You got to live
right.
your life.
So God bless. Emily needs therapy. I guess we can put him in the broken clock column. You know, he's right twice a day, and I don't know.
I think Emily was just trying to be supportive of Jen because she started that by saying, you're an adult woman, and if this is the man you've chosen and he's good to you, then that's fine. And I can respect him because he's taking care of your kids. He's a bachelor who moved 6 kids into his house. Like,
yeah.
He's, again, I'm not saying he's an all-around good guy, but like, you know, I can see if Emily's trying to just be supportive of Jen, how she can pull these facts out and be like, these are ways that I can get behind the decisions you're making right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. They go back to the caviar house, and Heather brings it back to herself by saying she doesn't condone to people digging up dirt on anyone. Why do you think I'm so disgusted by Katie? End quote.
This is where I was like, Heather, you're insane and you need a story editor because, again, these are Disneyland paparazzi pics that you are, there's just, if there was no there, this wouldn't continue to come up. Like, stop. It's embarrassing almost. It is. It's like you said, we've now threaded it through the entire season. This dumb prom picture outside of like the fucking Main Street train station or whatever the fuck. Like, who cares?
I know.
Downtown Disney. It just could not be less impactful.
That's the only reason why
I like Emporium. Sorry.
I like to look at that picture. I'm like, now, because I've been at Disneyland 1,000 million bazillion times. And I feel like I know every rock, surface, like log, fence. And I'm like, no, where are they? Are they in Fantasyland? What is she pointing to? Are they leaning against Big Thunder Railroad? Like, anyway, that's why I give a shit. But it's also like, it would be so funny. Oh my God, Margie, let's go to Disneyland and recreate that picture.
Oh my God, I'm in.
I would love
look
to
at their
do that
wardrobe
sometime.
and figure it out.
Honestly,
and let's do it. Yep.
I keep meaning to like train for the Disneyland 5K or 10K, whatever the race is, because I'm like, I could do that. Like, even if I just ended up like walking, because I hate running. I fucking hate it with a mad passion. It hurts my body. I don't like it. But I would love to run through the Disneyland property. Like, that would be so rad. I wouldn't be bored. I think that's what I don't understand about you runners. How do you not get so fucking bored? I get so bored.
It's a meditation. And it's like, it's a dopamine, like at the end of it.
Yeah.
It's not always, like there are some easy miles and then some terrible miles. But at the end, it just, oh my God, it feels so great at the end. I did the Disneyland half marathon and I will say.
Yeah, that's the one. Yes.
But it's fun for like 20 minutes of the 2.5 hours because you get to run through Angel Stadium, you get to round the bases, which is really fun. And then the rest of it is just like Orange County freeways until you wind up at the Magic Kingdom. And I was like, this is terrible. This is 2 hours of running on like, it was really sad.
Oh
but
my God.
It was a great medal. And they have all the characters out there. Like they had the green army sergeants from Toy Story going like, don't forget to stay hydrated. You know, like it's
that's
so cute. It's really cute.
Oh, we should do that. We should get it. We should.
And then at the end, with our
paparazzi
medals on, we can recreate the
oh my God
photo.
I would love that. Amazing. Okay.
It's
well,
a date.
I need to get on that. After Heather says, "Why do you think I'm so disgusted by Katie?" Gina says, "I can't believe what a liar Katie is," and I'm just like, "Fuck, am I?" And I want to admit this. I want to admit this on this podcast for it to exist in perpetuity or until I take the RSS feed down. But like, why am I so willing to buy everything Katie is selling to me? Is it
It's
because
genuine.
it feels like it is.
Gina will watch this season back and she will see what Tamra and Heather, the lengths they've gone to manipulate stories. Because like even in this episode, by the end of it, Tamra is like, I thought Gina was the villain, but now I see it's Katie because Heather said so. It's like,
God.
and I think Gina's just checking in on conversations as they happen and not. And she's mad at Katie a little bit. And Katie is, I love Katie for being like a little bit messy. Like she's so quick to, at one of these dinners, someone was like, and what did Tamra say to you after the dinner at her house? And Katie immediately goes like, oh, she said to ask Ryan about the FBI. And I was like, oh my God, she has no hesitation on being a whole housewife. So I just don't think Gina has the whole picture. I think she's been fed some crumbs, and once she watches the season back, she'll be like, oh, this is a whole, yeah.
I'm crossing fingers. Your lips, God's ears. Why I give a shit whether or not Gina Kirschenheiter believes the truth or not, that's on me. That's my problem. But like, I would in the vein of fair and justice, I really hope she sees it too. But
too.
Whether or not that happens is TBD. Tamra tells Heather she has to tell her something. When they all went candle making, Kylie told Tamra that Emily's boys, Keller and Luke, said they don't like Heather because she's mean to our mom. She yells at her a lot, and our mom says Heather's bossy. And Tamra says there's something deceiving about her. And Heather says kids repeat what they hear, which is true. I agree with that. It's also been my experience.
But also, like, where is the lie? Heather is bossy and mean to Emily. She called her fat. She called her fat. She said, by the way, the dress was tight.
Right.
You know, like, what is she objecting to here?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
the kids, if they heard anything, it's not like they're internalizing it and they're like, I'm going to keep an eye out for Heather. They, like Gina said, they're 8 years old. Their agenda
Right.
has to do with snacks and bedtime.
Exactly.
They're not obsessing about whether how much of a witch Heather is. They,
Yeah.
as Gina says, they don't even know who you are. And I loved that line. I was like,
Yeah.
you are not relevant in some populations.
Honestly.
Believe it or fucking not.
Honestly.
But it did. I just want to mention at the start of this,
Please.
it was so planned. Another Heather, Tamra bad acting scene work moment. Tamra says, I want to tell you something. Heather says, go ahead. Tamra goes, Katie's daughter. And Heather interrupts and says, the one who's 19. She all but did a take to camera to let us know that Kylie is of age. And so it's appropriate if she gossips about her on TV, even though it's completely disgusting and unnecessary and ridiculous.
Holy shit,
but she made a
Margie.
point to interrupt Tamra and say, like, the one who's 19. Why would you ever say that? What does that even mean? What are you doing except to absolve yourself of being accused of talking about someone's kids? She's an idiot.
Her priorities are skewed. And
And then to talk about 8-year-old boys, I was just like, you are really off the rails. They don't care about you. They are not involved in this. If any, like, what do you care what a couple of like second graders had to say about you on a babysitting day? Like, what is your problem?
she fully
Obsessed.
fucking cried, dude.
She cried.
She cried.
She's like, I thought I was a good judge of character of 8-year-old boys, or what? What? I can't believe that like children gossiping is now part of Heather's victim story.
She'll take whatever she can get to add to that narrative. She really
I'm at
will.
a loss, man. They're 8.
I know. Gina says that Emily wouldn't say shit like that in front of her boys. And Tamra says she told Emily at breakfast. And they flash us back to that scene where the three of them are at that coffee shop. And Emily said that Kylie said Heather's mean. And Emily said, don't say that again. She told her boys that Heather's mean. And Emily said, don't say that again. And again, yeah, Heather is in tears over this. And it's because she's crying because she's terrified that she can't control her story.
That's exactly what she accuses Shannon of at the end. She's like, I see what you're doing. You're trying to control your narrative. I'm like, You spot it, you got it
You
much?
spot it, you got it. Right.
And by the way, all I'm hearing is that all of the kids concur that Heather sucks.
Yeah.
That's all I'm hearing. I'm not hearing anything about Emily being a bad person. Like, Heather is bossy. She is mean. Like, again, it's like if they were saying that she was like a rapist or something, I could understand the outrage. But they're literally saying what are truths about Heather's engagement with Emily. She's bossy. She's critical.
Yeah.
She's
super
unkind.
critical.
And the kids got it right as far as I can tell. So I don't know what Heather's crying about.
I don't either. We go back to, in between the morning outings and dinner. Jen's on the phone with Ryan. She fills him in. He also says she has no soul. They looked at that as a bonding moment. Jinx, buy me a Coke. Okay.
Buy me a Malibu and Diet Pepsi.
Buy me a Malibu and Diet Pepsi. Holy shit. You're right. You're right. And then we go to Heather and Tamra getting glam. And the scene was so fucking bland. Like when she's like, we're getting etiquette. We're going to an etiquette dinner. So then Tamra dramatically like spreads her legs and puts her elbows on her knees and rolls her eyes and sneers, just like really leaning into like her inner Lake Havasu. And again, I just wrote they were trying for Statler and Waldorf and they need to go back to Muppet School because it's not going to happen.
I just wrote, I never want to travel with Heather. Can you imagine if you have the joy of being in England, if you're going to spend an hour of it in an etiquette class? I would never.
No.
Stop.
Who planned that?
Heather
Did
said,
she?
Yeah, she said before dinner, we're going to have an etiquette class. Of course it's Heather. Because as she later says, the person most in need of etiquette is Katie and her daughter for talking about me. I'm just like, oh my God,
she is so
a hellmouth of a human being.
Of control.
Yeah.
It is, wow. Okay. I missed that she said that yeah.
Yeah.
Shannon, we see her saying goodbye to her kids and she shares that she's constipated.
My God, the amount of real estate in this episode taken up with like poo, it was. And I'm someone who enjoys poo in a comedy sense, but I don't enjoy like an actual storyline where I have to follow someone's bowels. Anyways, this was shocking to me. It
many
so
seasons
much.
now listening to Shannon talking about enemas and enemas being she
had the product that where you attach it to your toilet and like sit on a straw.
Yeah,
and have it suck your butt out or whatever.
That's right. I forgot. And she once had David help her out years ago. This is that's when they still live in the house with the crystals and the
air purifiers
and the air in the hospital grade air. Yes,
right.
Yes. R.I.P. that house, man.
I know,
good ass house.
But it's true to the overseas travel experience. But like again, the amount of real estate it got in this episode was just like there were so many scenes and text messages and follow-ups and anyways, it's not.
Yeah.
I just was stunned.
There could have been an alternate title to this. Sunday Roasted. They talked about roast about 2 seconds, but they talked about it could have been like, stuck in I don't know
the bowels of London.
Yeah, something. They could have done something with that. But,
I'm glad they didn't, but they gave us plenty of content.
They
poop
sure did.
Content.
My God.
And really step by step following the arc, in story breaking for half-hour sitcoms. Like I will say I could absolutely follow the arc. Like you see Shannon hint at it here, and then we see the physical cramp in the Sprinter van, and then the denouement in the hotel bathroom, and then the aftermath with the onion butter on bread, where she can finally eat. I was just like, Jesus Christ, they took us on for the whole ride.
They did. Oh, so then we arrive back in the restaurant. We have etiquette dinner with poor, sweet Laura Akamo.
Too good for this group. Just too good for this group.
I hope that after she was done, she was met with someone off camera who ran some sage over her, maybe sprayed her with some Palo Santo. I felt for her. She's better than this. She deserves more. Justice
I feel like
for Laura
she knows
Akamo.
that. I felt like she was like, this is one of those days where I earn my money. Some days are harder work than others. Laura Akamo just so polite, introducing herself by name to everyone. Emily tears in just to immediately talk about her poo experience, how Katie gave her a poo pill that was supposed to take 6 hours to work, but it's working now. So I've got bubble guts. Where's the nearest bathroom? I'm going to shit myself. I was like, oh my God, Americans are so
Ladies,
embarrassing.
It was really, truly, truly. I mean, they talk about like the hooligans over there at the football games, but this was all the hooligans here were the Real Housewives of Orange County cast.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies. Anyway. Yeah, I wrote, apparently everyone's constipated. The napkin etiquette, flashback to Tamra throwing napkins. Again, that was set up like, Tamra, where do you like to put your napkin? Like, oh my God. You're right. The amount of self-production in this season, particularly, and in this episode, it's egregious.
Well, this
It's
is where
hella
Heather
egregious.
says in her confessional, she tries to do it like light and funny. And she's like, Katie and her daughter need the most etiquette. They're, starved for etiquette because they're spreading lies. That's an etiquette no number one or whatever the fuck. And I was like, wow. And Lord knows Laura Acamo didn't touch on any of that. She gave us rules about bread and how to hold your silverware and posture and pointing and stuff. But anyways, it was ridiculous.
It was so ridiculous. It was just like, Heather is parroting Ms. Acamo. They flash back to, Ms. Acamo talks about the posture and the chairs, which I actually found to be very good advice because I have to be really cognizant of my posture. If I don't, I get neck pain, and then the neck pain goes all the way down to my fucking hand. It hovers around my elbow and my wrist and my hand, and so I have to be alert about my posture. I don't care how it looks. It's just like I hurt if I'm slumping. My body starts to ache. I am middle-aged. There's the flashback to Emily falling off her chair. Heather's paying attention like she's actually going to be graded on this at the end and it'll go on her theoretical permanent record. I don't know.
So bored. I appreciated the editors doing that sort of like fade editing because I was like, oh my God, this is so boring.
Yeah.
How dare Heather waste our time in England with an hour of, and also I have such a strong, again, if it's hysterical, it's historical. I have such a strong reaction to like these specific arbitrary manners. I lost my mind when she was like, you spread your butter on one piece of bread, but then you use your hands to tear it. I'm like, where's the logic in that? So this is all just bullshit. You just all agreed on a bunch of bullshit, but you're going to stare at me like I'm a bitch if I put more butter on my bread at a time than is acceptable. Like I can't, manners and stuff like that. It's like, that's how, we were raised to present perfectly. So I learned all of my manners. I knew exactly what to do at every table, what fork goes where. Don't put your elbows on the table. Sit up straight, napkin in your lap, blah, blah, blah. For what? To go home to like insanity?
Yes.
It's all presentation. It's nothing. When I left any dinner, whoever talked about me buttering my bread can go straight to hell. Like the royal family makes me crazy. You're not allowed to touch the queen or blah, blah, blah. It's like, why?
Right.
Who cares? Why are you so fragile and special? You were born into this.
Agreed.
You didn't want it. I watched The Crown. You didn't want this. And now we have to bow down to your ass? Like, what are we all doing?
I agree.
It's nuts.
I agree. Also,
just be decent, be kind, be honest, chew with your mouth closed if at all possible. But other than that, like, let's just show up and enjoy each other's company.
Yeah. Don't act like Tamra Judge at dinner and you're ahead of the game.
Yes, ma'am.
And fuck any rules that came up from a colonizer.
Thank
so
you.
I absolve anybody and everybody from ever having to feel like they need to do what they did. So at that dinner. And God bless. But Heather wants to play Pit and Peak, Thorn and Rose, whatever. And I just figured that was her way of trying to bring up, like, having a way to talk shit about Katie and Katie's daughter.
Producing.
Yep.
Just like fucking lead foot on the pedal, Heather. Way to be not at all subtle. Because Gina goes first and everyone tolerates it. I had to wake up early to curl Emily's hair and it was wonderful to see Shannon's daughters. Next up, Tamra, who starts what Heather was hoping for.
Yep.
And Tamra says that her peak was having caviar, even though in that scene she said that she's like meh about caviar. And then she says her pit was Jen yelling at me about something that Shannon provoked. And I was like, get out the murder board again, because I don't know what you're talking about. This is crazy. Okay.
Yep. And then that her tacky attack voice comes up and just like pushes whatever kind of self-regulation Tamra has. it just pushes that Tamra out. And she just is like, Shannon's a liar and a drunk, because you're a liar and a drunk, like any opportunity she has. And again, if you spot it, you got it, because your behavior, ma'am, when you are inebriated just enough is as egregious as Shannon's. And yet she's always going to throw it back in your face, my face, Shannon's face, anyone's face. Yeah, but I didn't run into a house. And like I think you said a couple episodes back, yet.
I mean, truly. And Shannon called it out in this episode at some point. She says to Tamra, like, this is what you do. You get completely drunk and say horrible things and then apologize about it later. And like, that's Shannon, I thought, handled this. I felt like Shannon is really evolving. Shannon, Jen, and Gina are clearly receiving some sort of treatment or doing something to advance their mental state. Because Shannon she simply says, I'm done with your lies and I'm not explaining myself to you anymore, Tamra. And I was like, oh my God, those are boundaries. That's amazing. And Shannon says, like, I have all the text messages. I have everything in writing. So what you're saying is irrelevant. And Tamra's like, but you called me. I'm like, I don't know if I believe that. And then Shannon goes, you're lying. And Tamra goes on her feet, you're a liar and a drunk. And I appreciated Gina for imploring Tamra to stop it with the drunk commentary. It's Shannon's journey. Tamra has been out of pocket, and now it's just she's been out of pocket for too long doing this. And Tamra, to her credit, is sufficiently shamed because the whole table is just like, you're outrageous. She's already had her accident. She's in the court system. She's being punished in the proper channels. You're not it, Tamra. Like, you're not the voice of justice here. You can hang it up.
Right.
Dick.
Right. Such a dick. Massive dick. The restaurant staff that the camera people pan to look justifiably disgusted and not impressed.
Shocked.
And like, honestly, like probably low-key planning, like, okay, Rochambeau, rock, paper, scissors, you're going to be the one that kicks these people out. I'm not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Tamra asks Jen, why do you believe Shannon over me? And Jen says that in the entire time that she's known Tamra, Shannon has shown her more of a friendship than Tamra has, and lists all the offenses Tamra has talked about. And everyone at this point is telling Tamra to stop. Dinner wraps up. Katie says...
Wait, I do want to say this
yes.
fight plays out in the weirdest way. Jen says, like, you better fucking shut your mouth. And Tamra goes, okay, why? Is Ryan going to put a hit on me? And Katie just goes like, why would you say that? And Tamra goes, okay, fine. Gang up on me. Go ahead. And I was like, what? For the person who claimed that you hate victims, look at what you just did. The mood in the room swings a little bit out of your control. And immediately you're like, gang up on me. Go ahead. And I appreciated Jen for being like, just leave. You always tell everyone else to leave. Get the hell out of here.
Totally.
And Tamra loses her mind and she turns to Heather and she's like, I'm not going to let her turn everyone against me. And I'm like, you are paranoid. Your ego is out of control. Like, and remember what you're talking about. Because I don't have my murder board in front of me. You're talking about an insane amount of things that happened at all times in history. And I don't know what the problem is, except that you want to be right and you want Jen and Shannon to suffer. Ugh.
Yeah,
weird.
Totally.
Really weird.
Totally. Oh my gosh. Katie says that this group of women are not for the weak, and she's glad that Jen is her friend, and she's proud of her for finding her voice. I just can't reconcile that person with the person that Heather and Tamra think that Katie is. And I will be the first person to admit, like, when I'm proven wrong, I just don't buy it. I don't buy that Katie is a liar and trying to stir shit. I don't believe that her daughter is a liar.
Oh God, that's just so
not one little
out of
bit.
line. Oh my God,
so out of line.
And I loved. There are some really lovely like female friendship moments in this episode, and this was one of them when Katie tells Jen, she's like, "You looked fucking hot standing up for yourself," and I was like, she did. There is something like incredibly like empowering and sexy and attractive about a woman just like being done taking shit.
100%.
And I loved Katie for saying it with that language. And I don't know if you noticed how Jen received it. Like she smiled and she was like, you know, because I think Jen prides herself on being sexy, and I think she doesn't realize that being like a fully realized person with self-esteem is also sexy. It's not just your amazing stomach, you know?
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gina, Shannon, and Emily discuss Travis's balls and express her gratitude for and Shannon expresses her gratitude for sticking up for her at dinner and just on the trip in general. And yeah, okay.
And then we move back to Tamra and Heather having a glass of champagne, and Heather saying she can't stand Katie, but she's not going to bring it up anymore because there's kids involved. Oh, how altruistic of you, Heather. Even though you've already brought it up on camera
Yeah,
and
and she's
involved
also
2 8-year-old boys, you
100%.
absolute psycho.
She's lying through her
And she
straight
claims,
white teeth. Yeah.
she claims she
Oops.
doesn't want to ruin Shannon's trip. So that's another reason she won't bring it up, even though she started the trip by bringing up a picture of Shannon's bloody face after a drunk driving accident. Anyways.
Oh my God.
And then Tamra, again, murder board time for me. Tamra claims that Shannon called her 6 months ago to look into Gina potentially having pushed Travis down the stairs.
Oh my God,
Like,
Margie. I mean, honestly.
And she's like, I don't want to tell Gina, but she should know that she's dancing with the devil here. So Shannon 6 months ago may or may not have asked for information about something that she never used. She never brought it up at the reunion. I'd never heard of this incident before. I did think about you as this storyline unfolds. Like, it does seem like that ex-wife was a motivating factor of separate households. And I stand by, you don't harm children because an adult is out of control. Like, it just
Right.
seems crazy. But
Right.
it does seem like, I mean, that's crazy. If she's telling people that Gina's like a push down the stairs is not, like, that's bad. That's real bad.
Yes. I agree. I thought of you too. I thought of the both of us, like thinking like, you know, because we have been in the minority of people that have been uncool with Gina's decision to separate the families when the children have bonded for so many years living under the same roof, and then let's break them up. And I did get I got a new perspective when Gina started talking about the stuff that may have contributed to why she separated their families. I was like, okay, gosh, I don't know. I still feel like these poor traumatized kids.
Yeah, my opinion hasn't changed. And mostly it's because Gina's been unclear. Because at the beginning of the season, she was like, we need more space. My kids need more space. That's why he's moving out. What's true? I don't know what's true.
Yeah.
You could have just said, like, we're going through some interpersonal stuff and we have to separate like this for that reason. But I also just don't think whatever the ex-wife is doing, she's not going to stop because they're in separate houses. The only thing that's going to stop is any sense of stability and security for the kids. Like, I just still don't love that happened. It
I
really
don't either.
still makes
Not
me
at
sad.
all. Totally, completely. Taylor Armstrong's husband, John, did not agree to like look into this
Says Tamra.
info. Oh,
I don't
you're
even
right,
know if
you're right.
Shannon like followed through or if it was just
You're
one of
right.
those things that like, ooh, we should look into that. You know, I just like, I don't know what's true, except that if Tamra said it, I'm inclined to believe it's a lie, or at least some sort of take on the truth that is advantageous to her.
Totally.
Ugh.
The next morning, Shannon needs to shit or barf. She's not sure what, but she's got some stomach pains. The GI issues are continuing. She and her group exit their respective Sprinter vans so that she can do an enema. Heather, Tamara, and Emily go to Abbey Road to recreate the album cover, and a little bit of me died inside. A little bit of me died inside seeing them on Abbey Road recreating it. I grew up with the Beatles being played in my house like practically all day, every day. Like, that's my favorite Beatles album. And I don't get to gatekeep the fucking Beatles. I don't get to gatekeep Abbey Road. But when you can't even name all of the Beatles and that was quasi your generation, Tamara, like, I don't know. I just got mad.
I got mad too for a different reason because I felt myself, I got like physically like pissed. And I'm not even like a huge like Beatles fanatic, but I know who they are. Like, and I got so mad that Tamara couldn't come up with their names and that she was flippant about it. And then I realized, I'm like, oh, this is connected to my election anxiety because there's this flippant nature about like how being stupid and not knowing things is fine. And I'm like, it's not fine. If you're going to do Abbey Road, like you ought to either, if you don't know who they are in the moment of doing Abbey Road, just pick up your phone and Google who was in the Beatles, you know?
Right.
Just give a shit about learning something. But everybody's just so flippant. It's almost like education is for losers. Like only nerds look up that shit. And I was just, but again, this is connected to a totally separate anxiety, which is fed through my fear of, you know, the red parts of California, which is Orange County. So I was like, these are the idiots that are causing the problems. Like,
Oh, God. I know. Oh, God. It's just that anxiety, that election anxiety, we're days away, and
it's present.
It's palpable and present. And I hate that other people can relate to the level of anxiety I have around it. And I'm also grateful because it makes me feel like I'm not crazy to take this so personally. Like people are like grabbing other people by the lapels going, what are we going to do? What is going to happen to us? And it's real. It's real.
Yeah.
It is real. That's not why anybody called right now. So we
do
return to, go ahead. Yes,
I want to
please.
back up for a second because this was, although it's a disgusting storyline about poo, I will say this is like the female friendship trajectory that like really warmed my heart. So Shannon's in the Sprinter van having stomach pains and everybody immediately is present and someone in all earnestness goes, can you fart? You know, like trying to bring her relief. And someone else says, do you want a bucket to puke in? Do you want some fresh air? Shannon says she needs an enema and she goes, I'm so embarrassed. And Gina goes, don't be embarrassed. You're okay. And they walk her up to the room and Katie goes to get an enema kit. She immediately walks in and says, I got it. Do you want me to do it? She offers to stick a straw up Shannon's ass to bring her relief. And then they wait outside the bathroom door and cheer her victory over this pain. And to me, those are those moments where like, I don't know if boys do that as much, but women in a moment of need, they're just like, let's solve the problem. Everybody rally around. You're not a burden. We have a solution. We are here for you while you work it out. And we celebrate your win on the other side. I just loved it. I thought was really lovely. No one was like, this is gross, or nobody was creeped out. They were just like, we got you. Let's go. We'll figure this out.
You're totally right. They
Very
absolutely did. Yeah, nothing was disgusting. A bodily function wasn't like cause to be like, ew, oh my God. I don't know if Tamra or Heather would have offered to help.
They would have, but then on the other side of it, they would have been like, can you believe how gross Shannon is? Maybe don't eat so much red meat, you fucking like, you know, they would have found a way to make it her fault.
Totally.
But these ladies just set aside everything that was on their plate for the day and they were like, Shannon needs help. Let's help Shannon. And they did. And it was lovely, starting from can you fart to applause after unload. So
I let me ask you this. Shannon has now administered multiple enemas on camera in the history of her time being a cast member on the show. And I'm not saying that enemas are a cause for speculation on eating disorders. It just seems like there's just Shannon has, and I say this as someone with eating disorders in my past, like it just was something that I wondered, I projected, like there was just a lot of, you know, we know that she's had body issues and she's had a lot of judgment around food and what food she's eaten and a lot of policing of her food done by herself and other people, namely her ex-husband. And it's like, it was just thought I had like, there's lots of, I don't know.
But I do feel like she's on Ozempic or one of those now.
Mm-hmm.
And I also,
one of the GLPs.
Yes, I understand that constipation is a factor in those as well, or some people have that.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder, but I do, I think she's always struggled with weight and body image and all that stuff. And lots of people abuse enemas and diuretics and laxatives and all that stuff. So, yeah. But anyway. I think in this instance, this seemed like a real traveler's backup problem.
Sure.
And it was just like, this has got to be resolved or she's going to be in a hospital. Like,
why is traveling, why does it do that to you?
You just got to hydrate, man. I don't know why it doesn't.
But like, God, it's egregious.
It is. And I think it's like the time change must throw off some sort of circadian rhythm that your body is used to following, and then everything just goes to hell. And
Oy.
I don't know.
I
But
mean, it was not unique to Shannon this trip. So
my God, no, everybody was talking about it. But I appreciated those ladies for just like jumping into action without any question and just supporting their friend so she could feel well.
totally, totally. We pivot back to I believe at this point, the women, Heather, Emily, and Tamra, are now feeding swans. They are eating donuts on a bench next to where the swans are. And Emily asks Heather about the kid conversation, with Luke and Keller, her 8-year-old sons. And Tamra tells Heather and Emily about Travis and Gina and John and Taylor. And Emily tells Tamra, you need to tell Gina about this right now. I'm exhausted.
I am too. But I appreciated Emily here also having a moment of clarity about Heather, where she said, I was going to let this go. I wasn't going to bring this up because it's related to one 19-year-old and two 8-year-olds. Like, this is absurd. And she tells Heather, I'm pissed because you're talking about my kids. You're calling me a shitty parent. You're throwing my boys under the bus. And you're putting me in a position to have a problem with you. And I was like, ooh, Emily, there's some lawyery wording for you. And I loved it.
Oh,
and
I
Heather
love it when she gets
immediately,
lawyery. Yeah.
me too. Heather immediately passes the buck to Katie and somehow tries to say like, well, this was obviously a manipulation on Katie's behalf to try and make me seem like a bad person. I'm like, what? Again, murder board. Like, how is it that two 8-year-olds became part of Katie's master plan to make you, like, what are you fucking talking about?
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Agreed.
Go buy
Agreed.
another mall and get yourself busy doing anything else because this
Right.
is embarrassing. Anyways.
Go have another party where it's branded and
Ugh,
SpawnCon and and
uptight.
gelatinous espresso
Yes.
martini toppers.
Everybody can't wait to leave so they can relax and actually have fun. Those parties are the worst.
Then we head to the lock-in time for the whole cast for Sunday supper. Tamra thinks Gina's GI issues are the stress of being a bad person. And again, the call is coming from inside the house.
She thinks
Tamra.
Shannon's GI issues.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
did I say? What did I say?
I think you said Gina.
Ah, shit.
It doesn't matter. She'll put it on anyone. But I think in this case, it was Shannon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She for sure thinks that Shannon's GI issues are from the stress of being a bad. Yeah. That's all about. That's exactly what she said. What she was talking about.
And she's
Shannon.
so righteous about it. And it's just like, you are so wrong. You're so unbelievable. What you're saying is unbelievable. Not in the way of like blowing my mind, in the way of like, these are not possible facts. Like,
agreed, Jess.
ridiculous.
And
then this moment of Heather. So Shannon has her back turned to Heather because she's talking to someone. And Heather goes, excuse me, why is your back to me? Are you mad about something? And Shannon, I just wrote, stop producing. You suck at it. That's what I wrote. And Heather goes, well, I know it's hard to sit in the middle, and I was like, so even that is like a weird patronizing slight of like Shannon doesn't know how to sit in the middle. It was so insane.
It was so weird, Margie.
And then
it was so weird.
Thank God for Shannon just being like, do you want to talk? Let's go outside and talk.
Yeah.
And Heather was like, oh, well, okay. I'll bring my drink.
I know I'm not going to be happy in about a minute, but for right now, it feels kind of good outside. I'm like, you just can't get no joy nowhere.
She keeps trying to be this like lighthearted, approachable person. And it's like, even the way you comment on the weather, just it all rings false. And I hate it. It makes me want to get away from you.
Oh.
And Shannon seemed to feel the same way. Like Shannon really did a great job with this conversation because Heather was just yelling and over talking and denying Shannon's experience
completely.
And Shannon simply breaks it down and is like, I regret confiding in you. And Heather half-ass apologizes saying, well, I apologize for breaking your trust. And it's a real like, I don't hate you, but I see you moment of like,
you're right.
Heather's like, and Shannon's just like, okay, it's cold. Let's go back inside. Like she's not going to try and there's nothing to resolve here. She's clear on who Heather is. She is not to be trusted. She regrets confiding in her. End of story.
God, I loved that they flash back to right after Heather says, well, I don't remember you telling me to keep the conversation to myself. We see it. Like,
Well,
I would appreciate if you don't share this
didn't-
with the group.
Shannon didn't say it. Heather said it. She said, I don't remember you telling me not to share it with the group. Flashback to Shannon going like, I'd appreciate it if, and Heather goes, we don't have to share this with the group. And I was like, oh, you're the one who, like, you did know. You said it. You are so gross. And it's inexcusable. If you're that unconscious when you're making a promise like that, you don't deserve friendship. That's a really, and again, that was the moment when Shannon had just found out there were John was in possession of videos, Ring camera videos that would, be ruinous to Shannon. And she was distraught. And Heather does remember, like, she's just awful. Anyways, I was really proud of Shannon for just being like,
too.
Damn, okay.
Shannon was like,
Let's go back inside, fuck it.
She fully did. And Heather was like, she didn't know what to do with the fact that someone was going to get up from a conversation with her, risking the fact that their friendship might not be repaired or be over. Exactly.
Shannon doesn't care.
Shannon
she don't care.
I don't give a fuck, lady.
She's
and
done.
Heather short-circuited on the inside. She short-fucking-circuited.
Yeah, and she brought up
cute
stuff
hair,
about
cute jacket and good makeup, but she's still short-circuited.
Well, and she brought up stuff about the past, saying, like, I've kept your confidence in the past about, again, Heather deliberately brings this up on camera saying, we all knew David was having an affair and you crafted your own narrative. And Shannon just goes, yes, I was trying to save my marriage. And Heather's like, well, I get that. Sure.
Yeah.
But what I was saying, and I was like, oof. And I love it when people are just, when you drop into the truth and you can just stand in your honesty, nobody can rattle that. Anybody can throw anything, all of the worst shit, your DUI, your ex-husband's affair, and you're just like, yeah, I was trying to save my marriage. Now what? Yeah, I'm going through the consequences of a DUI. Now what?
Exactly.
It's just like, you can't fucking damage me. I don't care what you think.
You're right. And that is a plug for being honest.
Yeah. Yep.
Oy, oy, oy. Meanwhile, on the inside, Tamra is telling Gina about the throwing Travis down the stairs thing. And Gina's confessional is where we learn the backstory that we talked about a few minutes ago. Gina is right to tell Jen that both she and Gina are collateral damage in Tamra and Shannon's beef. It's completely true. And this is why Tamra, she's saying all of these things, and she thinks in her little Tasmanian devil mind, again, this woman claims to be a Christian. My point is that she's saying, she's claiming to tell Gina these things that Shannon said and did
6 months ago, but she didn't do anything.
In the vein of being a good friend, in the vein of being good, but she doesn't give a shit. And I think that Tamra knows that Gina's going to be collateral damage in this.
She does, and she doesn't care. No, because for her, it's good TV. Tamra and Heather are producing at this point, and they think they're really good at it. But they, like Jen warned, watch your mouth. Like, you're going to be your own demise, because this is such a bad look. And Gina calls her out on it and is like, yes, this sucks to like start a problem with Shannon, but Tamra, you're bringing this up on camera. It's something that happened 6 months ago that really nobody knew about. Shannon didn't bring it up at the reunion. It was not brought to camera. You're doing that right now intentionally. And again, I don't hate you, but I see you.
I don't hate
like,
you, but
this
I
is
see
who
you.
you are, and it's gross. And then Jen takes it further, and she's right, saying Tamra has a sickness. She goes, Tamra has a sickness and you need help. She's a mean girl and a bully, and she thrives in it. And I was like, there's the read. That's it. Comprehensive understanding of Tamra Judge.
100%. That's the elevator pitch, right? Isn't that what you guys say?
Yeah, that's
I
it.
don't know.
No, that's
the log line.
That's her character in a nutshell right there.
Yep,
she has a sickness. She's a mean girl and a bully, and she thrives in it. Yeah, that's her character description.
Oy, oy, oy.
And speaking of sitcom writing, like, Shannon leaves the table right as her birthday cake comes with these like lovely waiters singing. Tamra, and again, it's just like, it's so cliche, it's ridiculous. So our hero, Shannon, has left the table saying, me walking out the door, that's growth. I'm not going to allow toxic people to penetrate my life anymore. Tamra is fucking evil. And then the cake comes and they're like, uh-oh, Shannon's gone. And Tamra takes the cake and sings happy birthday to me and blows out the candles. I'm like, it could be Shakespearean if we let it be.
Totally.
It's insane.
It absolutely could be.
If it wasn't about bullshit tabloid articles from 6 months to 2 years ago, it would have some heat, but it was fascinating.
Right now, it's just a whole big nothing burger. Yeah. Oy. And it's just painful. Next week, thankfully, is the season finale. I'm ready to put this cast to Mimi's. Like, we're done. Let's go to sleep. We're finished. Take the time off.
But it's been a good season. Like, this episode
it has been.
Like, yeah, I think it's been a really interesting journey for all of these friendships, and they're really changing. And I don't know. Part of me is like, I wonder if Tamra will get fired. Like, she is such a disaster. And again, the stuff off camera out in the real world, like deciding that after one meeting with one therapist, you proclaim that you have autism spectrum disorder. It's like, no, that's completely unacceptable.
So irresponsible
but
and
Lord
terrible.
knows,
yeah.
Bravo has accepted plenty of unacceptable behavior in the past. So it's not like we can count on them to shut it down. But
it's how the English sausage is made.
Yeah. Tamra
Speaking
really,
of,
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, they just announced that they're doing a Real Housewives of London soon in 2025. Yeah.
Oh, my God. That's awesome. Oh, I love that.
I know. Me too. I'm ready to see I'm ready to take. I never watched the
Ladies of London.
I never watched Ladies of London.
Loved it.
I don't watch Dubai. I didn't watch Melbourne.
I love Melbourne. Melbourne was a cartoon. It was great.
Is that the one with Pettiflor?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, everything about it was like, talk about through
like
the
a
looking
parody.
glass. Yeah.
Right.
I was like, what is happening? The language they use, the way they dressed, like, it was hysterical. It was really funny.
So that'll be interesting. But,
and Ladies of London was cool, but if memory serves, it was about like expats. So we followed like Americans who were living lives in London. So I'm excited to see like actual British people living their fancy ass lives over there.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was pretty smart actually with the popularity of The Crown, with the popularity of, oh God, what is the show that everyone shits their pants about on Netflix?
Bridgerton.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The way some people don't like reality TV, I don't like a period piece.
I do, but
I don't love a period romance. It just looks sweaty under those petticoats.
Oh God, those dresses.
Ugh.
That's like my dream.
Ugh.
I would love to, oh yeah, I would corset my shit up.
4 hours to get dressed every morning.
Don't care.
Oh, God bless you.
I loved Downton Abbey so much. I loved it. And I resisted it for so long. I was like, oh God, this looks so boring. Why would I watch this? It was when we were working for Obama. And I remember not having anything to watch. And I put it on and I like grabbed my friend at work the next day. I'm like, oh my God, you were right. This is insane. This is so good. And I was so invested and like just watched everything I could. Then got caught up and had to wait like everybody else and cried when certain people died on the cat. I loved Downton Abbey so much. I loved it. I thought it was so fucking good. Anyway, I guess I do. I loved Boardwalk Empire. I just haven't watched Bridgerton because it just looked like hella campy. And I don't know. Sometimes my ADHD really gets in the driver's seat when it comes to me picking out a show.
Same.
And I feel like if I'm going to get, that's why I resisted Downton for so long. It just like I was going to get locked into costumes and sets that I wasn't going to be able to escape. And not that anything bad would happen to me there, but just like, was I going to get bored? Was I going to get bored? So, but I really want to watch the Diana season on The Crown.
I can vouch for it. As someone with ADHD, you can get through it. It's really compelling. The acting's amazing. I think she won an Emmy or a Golden Globe or something.
Yeah.
She's terrific.
Yeah. So, because I remember like all of Diana.
I
being
was
a
just going to
princess and
say,
all.
part of it is, I think, for people of our generation who were in like formative years of growth during Diana's
Yeah,
presence in the monarchy, like it's a it's a period piece, but it's also just like a flashback, you know?
completely.
Like it's fascinating. It's
I'll
really
never
it was good.
forget where I was or
Oh,
the day when we found out that she passed. And it was like, this isn't, it was the same feeling that like when the news about Kobe broke.
yeah.
Like this, no, this isn't happened to them. This doesn't
That's what
happen to them.
yeah, I think that was our generation's first experience with like an immortal, you know,
Yep,
celebrity dying. Like
yep.
our parents had JFK.
JFK and MLK, right? But
Yeah. And I think for me, because I didn't believe it. And I saw
I
the
didn't
emotion in
either.
the newscaster's eyes, and I was like, but no, that's not true. What do you mean? They don't get in a car crash. They have the best
Yeah,
cars, they have the best drivers. Like, you don't,
yep,
those people don't, that's crazy.
yep.
And I didn't believe it until like all the information had come out and the family was in mourning. And I was like, what?
Yeah, it
Because
was.
even then I was like, oh, well, she was in a car crash, but they'll save her because she's the princess. Like all the doctors in the world will get to her bedside and they will save her and everything will be fine. And that was a real moment of awakening of like, oh, mortality is for everyone.
Mortality is for everyone.
Ooh,
I know.
yeah,
It really is. Yes. What else did you watch this week, friend?
that's a really good question. I had a busier week, so I didn't get to watch as much. I watched the last two episodes of Love is Blind that came out, and I don't recall any of it. I watched The Golden Bachelorette and was bored to tears. And I think that's all I can remember that I got to see this week. How about you?
Let's see. Josh was out of town for work, so I obviously watched Orange County because it's for work,
Right.
and I had to, but I saved Salt Lake City and New York for when he got back because we watched Bravo together, and so watched Salt Lake City last night, and it's really this season it's just so ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but I liked it. I thought it was great. The Greek Mafia anniversary party. And what did Meredith was one that said, I don't understand why that would, like Greek Mafia is the theme. And it's like, listen, I don't think there's a hard and fast rule that an anniversary party, I love a couple that has a sense of fucking humor. Have a theme party if you want.
Yeah.
Plus, it's relevant to like the show. You're the one that came up with it, Meredith. I think that's why you're upset about it. And then after that, I watched it on Peacock, so it rolled into the after show, the Salt Lake City after show. So I watched that, and then after that, it rolled into an episode of the Riveras. Jenny
Oh, yeah.
Rivera's kids have a reality show, and so I watched it. It was very reminiscent to me of like early episodes of the Osbournes, or I did not watch the Kardashians because I could not stomach it. But like if I was at someone's house and it was on in the background, it reminded me of like that era of reality TV, like at the
Mhm.
very, very beginning though. It was interesting. And again, like hearing some of the accents made me sad,
Mm.
just reminds me of half my family. And then I am a member of Danny Pellegrino's Patreon, and he recaps Sex and the City. And so I have been loosely watching Sex and the City reruns for like the millionth fucking time because I like to stay current so that I can understand everything he says about the episode that he's recapping. And it's a comfort show. And in the last few days, I needed that. Like when I found out that we weren't going to be able to go out of town this weekend, I was like, so just some Sex and the City reruns. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. And what was your antidepressant?
My antidepressant. Hmm. You know, this time of year, I'm not like a big like Halloween person, but there's some things about it that I really love. One of them is putting my dog in outfits. It just makes me
Oh,
laugh so
yeah.
hard. It's so stupid, but she does 11 outfits leading into Halloween day, and she's annoyed in the costumes, but like there's something about like being on the floor with her and like I don't know. It's just like a nice little bonding thing. I love my dog very much. She's the cutest. And the other part of the season that I love, yesterday was the Dia de los Muertos celebration at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Oh, yeah.
And it's basically just like installation art, these huge ofrendas, and they're so personal to the people who've passed. And it's all the foods they loved and the music they loved and the activities they loved as enacted by skeletons, dressed or undressed. It's just like, and one of them had this huge arch of marigolds with all these skeletons like marching off into the evermore. And it was like, it's just all so moving and beautiful. And with some, loss in mind this year, it was extra nice just to like have that sensation of like the veil is thin, the living and the dead commune. It's just it's a different energy is neither created nor destroyed. So they're here somewhere. It's just about like being present to experiencing them in their new form, So it's so beautiful. I love that event. I go with my friend who I just adore, my Irish friend, who's also like not afraid to talk about death or cry about death or, and has experienced a lot of loss, and it's just part of her story. It's not anything that, I don't know. It's just it's a lovely event, and it's a lovely sense of community. Everybody there is to celebrate people who they love and lost.
Yeah.
But still find and feel connection with. So, and my final one is, did you see Michelle Obama's speech in Kalamazoo, Michigan, where she has hit her limit, and I love her. Talk about a beacon of honesty. She was just like, you guys, this man is exhibiting signs of dementia. He's convicted of sexual assault. He has felony convictions around money. On January 6th, he said of the vice president whose life was under threat, I don't care. Guys, this sucks. And everybody's looking at Kamala and picking apart what she said at interviews that he won't even be bothered to show up for. I can't with it. And I was just like, she's amazing.
I do.
So it's well worth watching that clip if you haven't seen it yet. It's just, she's she's good. And I know she never wanted to be in a political sphere, but sometimes it's that whole thing of a calling where the world's greatest need and your greatest talents converge. Michelle Obama was called for moments like this. A week before the election, 10 days before the election, she has put together one of the most compelling speeches about the opposition, about reproductive rights. She talks about how women's reproductive rights affect men. Because we'll die, guys. The people you love are going to die. And some already have. And the people you love are going to go to jail because they performed an ectopic, because they performed a procedure to help with an ectopic, whatever.
Yeah.
She's like, this is an everyone problem. It's not just for the ladies. Anyways.
I agree.
She's phenomenal.
100%. She is great. She is phenomenal. I read about the speech, but I didn't see it. But yes, she is, you're right. She was called.
Yeah, man.
The woman gives me chills when she speaks.
Yeah, she's exceptional.
Exceptional, especially now that she's no longer like the first
Same with
lady.
Obama.
And oh my God.
He is so loose. He's all rapping Eminem and like.
That man that night. Oh, I loved it. It was amazing. Oh, Eminem though, come on with the black beard dye. Like, it doesn't have to be that gnarly.
He's like in a goth era. He's sober. It's fine. He has a grandbaby. Right. He's a grandpa.
I know he is. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. What the hell?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
How about you? What was your antidepressant?
I'm feeling real sorry for myself right now. This podcast, for sure. The support we got from when I shared about the podcast on Reddit, for sure, was one. And then, yesterday, my husband walked in. I don't remember what I was doing. I think I was taking notes for this. And he's like, would you like to go on a date with me tonight? And I said, yeah, I would. I'm like, I don't feel like going out because I'm so bummed, but I will. Yes, I will. And we went and had a lovely evening. We went to dinner. We sat at the bar at this lovely restaurant that's just so visually beautiful here in Oakland. And The bartenders and the servers were so rad. And then we went and saw The Substance, and it was so good and so scary and gross and terrifying on every level. Demi Moore was great. Margaret Qualley was great. Those are my antidepressants.
I love that.
So, yeah. Yeah. And my kid was sick. He was homesick this week. He came home on Wednesday with a sore throat and he barfed all night. And just like, I feel so bad for him, but like we get to snuggle for hour upon hours and hours and hours when he's sick. And Josh was out of town. So it was just me and my little dude. And just getting to take care of him is really lovely. So I won't feel like this forever. I'm just deeply disappointed on a lot of levels right now.
Yeah.
So anyway, that brings us to the end of our episode. Thank you so much for listening. Margie, do you want to share where people can find you and your hilariously adorable dog in costumes?
She's on TikTok at Evelyn_wears_outfits. Evelyn wears outfits. It's just, 20 seconds at a time of dumb fun of a dog in a cute costume.
She's real
set
cute.
to music.
She's real cute.
It's
yeah.
cute.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week to discuss the season finale.
I can't believe it.
Of season 18 of Orange County. We made it. Yeah. And then I'm assuming we'll start Beverly Hills because I don't know why we wouldn't.
It's the mothership for us.
It is. It's the mothership for us. Yeah, for sure. So everyone, take really good care of yourselves this week. I will do the same. I'll write in my journal. I'll drink my water. I'll try to get my 8 hours. I'll make an effort to move my body. All those things that I know bring me peace of mind. And we're grateful and appreciative that you're here.
Yeah.
Anything
else?
else?
Talk next week.
We'll talk next week. All right, everyone. Bye.
Ramona and Margie are obviously not doctors and do not provide medical advice. Their content is intended to be used for entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to be, should not be interpreted as, or used as a substitute for medical advice or a diagnosis of any health or fitness problem, condition, or disease, nor a recommendation for a specific test, doctor, care provider, procedure, treatment plan, product, or course of action.
My mom isn't a doctor.